Rain trickled down her cheeks, mixing with the silent tears she tried to hide. She sat alone on the cold curb, clutching her worn handbag as cars sped past without a glance. The city lights blurred in her eyes, each one a reminder of how far her life had fallen. People walked by, their umbrellas shielding them not just from the rain, but from noticing her pain. She had no place to go, no one waiting for her, and every minute felt heavier than the last. Just as she lowered her head, headlights cut through the mist, slowing to a stop right in front of her. It wasn't just any crit, it was a sleek, black luxury vehicle, the kind she had only ever seen in glossy magazines. The tinted window rolled down. Behind it was a face the whole city knew, a billionaire known for his power, wealth, and a life worlds apart from hers. For a moment, their eyes locked as strangers from opposite worlds. Then he spoke her name. Her breath caught in her throat. How did he know her? And why had he stopped for her, of all people, on this rainy night? Her mind raced as she stood frozen on the curb, the rain soaking through her thin coat. She hadn't heard her name spoken in days, let alone by someone whose world seemed unreachable. His voice was calm, deep, and strangely familiar, though. She couldn't place where she had heard it before. She wanted to ask how he knew her, but the question stuck in her throat. The door of the car opened, and for a second she thought about running. Life had taught her to be careful, to trust one, especially those who seemed too good to be true. But something in his gaze wasn't cold or distant like she expected. It was searching, almost urgent. Memories flickered in her mind years ago. A fleeting meeting at a charity event where she was serving drinks, the faintest smile he had given her, the brief moment their hands had brushed. Could he remember that? Or was this about something else entirely? The city noise seemed to fade as he leaned slightly toward her, rain glistening on the edge of his car door. "Get in," he said quietly, almost like a request rather than a command. And somehow, she knew her life would never be the same after this choice. She hesitated, her hand hovering in the air before she finally slid into the warm leather seat. The scent inside the car was faint, yet expensive, the kind she'd never been close enough to notice before. He didn't speak right away. Instead, the billionaire stared ahead, his jaw tight, as if weighing every word he was about to say. Through the tinted windows, the city rushed past in streaks of light. She glanced at him, wondering what kind of man could pull a stranger from the rain without a reason, or maybe with too many reasons. His suit was flawless, but there was something restless in the way his fingers tapped the steering wheel. "You shouldn't be out here tonight," he finally said, his voice low. "It's not safe." The way he said it made her wonder if he meant the streets or something else entirely. Her thoughts spun. Just 2 days ago, she'd lost her job, the last thread keeping her in the city. And now, here she was, riding beside a man who had the power to change everything or destroy it. Somewhere in the shadows of her memory, his face seemed tied to a story she'd tried to forget. But the truth was creeping closer. The car slowed. As they turned down a narrow, dimly lit street far from the city's noise, she felt her chest tighten. This wasn't a route she recognized, and the silence between them grew heavier with each passing second. Rain tapped against the windows in a steady rhythm, matching the pounding in her ears. Finally, he spoke again, his eyes fixed on the road. "You've been watched." The words sent a shiver racing through her. She wanted to ask by whom, but her voice wouldn't work. Instead, she stared at him, searching for some sign that he was joking. But his expression was stoned. In the glow of the dashboard lights, she caught a flicker of something in his eyes. Not fear exactly, but urgency. He pulled the car to a stop. In front of a tall, gated building with no name, its entrance guarded by shadows. The rain-soaked air seemed to press in as he leaned toward her. "Once we step inside, there's no going back," he said quietly. "You'll learn why I know. Your name and why they can't find you first." Her pulse quickened. Somewhere deep down, she knew that opening that door would change everything. She was ready to face what waited. Before she could answer, a sudden flash of headlights swept across the street behind them. Another car had pulled up dark, unmarked, and silent. Her heart skipped as two figures stepped out, their faces hidden beneath hoods. The billionaire's jaw tightened, and without a word, he reached across her to lock the doors. "They're early," he muttered, almost to himself. The sound of his voice was sharper now, edged with something she hadn't heard before: fear. She turned toward the shadowy figures who were already moving closer. Their steps slow but certain, as though they knew exactly where she was. "Why are they following me?" she whispered, her throat tight. T didn't look at her, his eyes fixed on the rearview mirror. "It's not just you," he said. "They want something only you can unlock." The rain fell harder, blurring the world outside into streaks of gray. The gate to the building creaked open as if on its own, the dim light inside beckoning them forward. But the sound of approaching footsteps made her chest tighten even more. She realized then, this wasn't just about a chance meeting in the rain. Whatever was happening had started long before tonight, and now there was no escaping it. The gate slammed shut behind them just as the two hooded figures reached the curb. Inside, the air was warm but heavy, the faint hum of security systems. Surrounding them, he guided her through a long corridor, stopping in front of a steel door with a keypad. Without hesitation, he turned to her. "Only you can open it," he said. She stared at him, confused. "I don't even know what's behind it," she replied. "You will?" he said quietly. "It's been yours all along." Her fingers trembled. As she pressed the code that came to her without thinking, numbers she'd seen in dreams for years. The lock clicked, and the door swung open to reveal a room filled with files, photographs, and documents, all about her. Every step of her life was here, recorded in detail she didn't understand. "They've been watching you since you were a child," he explained. "You're the key to shutting them down." Before she could speak, the lights flickered. A voice echoed from the shadows behind them, one she recognized instantly. It was her father's, and in that moment, she realized he hadn't been dead all these years. He'd been leading them. Her knees weakened as she turned toward the voice. There he stood, older, thinner, but unmistakably her father. The questions tumbled in her mind, but he spoke first, his tone steady. "I left to protect you. They would have used you long before now if I stayed." The billionaire stepped aside, letting them face each other. She felt anger and relief collide in her chest. "You could have told me," she whispered, tears blurring her vision. "There was no safe way," he said. "But now, with him by your side, we can end this." In the hours that followed, the three of them worked together, using the files to dismantle the network that had been shadowing her. Life, the billionaire's resources, and her father's inside knowledge turned the fight in their favor. By dawn, the threat was gone. Outside, the rain had stopped. She stood on the curb where it all began, the morning light washing the city in gold. She wasn't the same woman who had been left in the cold the night before. She had answers. She had allies, and for the first time in years, she had hope. Some storms don't just pass, they change the sky forever.